So if I was starting a coaching business from ground zero, literally $0, here's exactly what I would follow. It's a three-step plan I would follow in terms of how to create the offer, how to generate leads, and then how to actually convert those leads into, people who actually have to take out their wallets, their credit cards, and say, hey, let's do this thing. I want to pay you for your coaching services. The goal here in this scenario is 20K a month. All right, so I'm going to reverse engineer it based on that as well. So, hey, if you're starting from zero or close to zero, you want to get to 20K a month, this should be valuable for you. I've actually done this multiple times with my first coaching business in the health space and also my consulting business now where I help online coaches launch and scale. That's what I do 24/7, 365. So let's dive in. First thing is offer creation. All right, so don't overlook this. The most important thing here by far is you have validation. All right, so what is validation? All right, so this basically means, hey, we know for a fact people will buy your offer. It's an offer people actively are buying right now. Like the best thing you can look to confirm your offer is validated is look for competitors. Look for thriving competitors. People already doing 7 or 8 figures in their business in your niche. All right, so you want to look for that. If you look around your niche, you can't find any competitors on Google or on social media. That's a massive red flag. I would run from that niche because I want to have competitors. Competitors are a sign of life. Competitors aren't a bad thing; they're a great thing. They tell me, hey, like other people are crushing it in this niche. That means I can too. I can have a piece of the pie. Why not? I just need to be better. So that's validation. You definitely want to look around and see competitors. One of the great things you can do for that to take it a step further and determine, hey, what's the messaging I should use? What's the positioning that's going to work? What can I use in an ad or in a post to get my target market to stop scrolling and actually pay attention? One of the best things by far you can use for that is the ad library. All right, so you can Google Meta Ads Library, and this is free to the public. You can open this up and see what ads your competitors are running right now in real time. All right, so for example, you go here, you can search any competitor in the world you want. Search by keyword or by advertiser. Let's say, for example, looking at Grant Cardone. All right, so let's pull this up. You just click on him, and it'll literally pull up 450 results for ads that he's running right now. Pretty crazy. All right, so best practice here is don't look at the new ads. Don't look at the ads, he just started running this, about 2 weeks ago or so. Don't look at this. Look at the older ads. Look at this has been running since October of last year, December of last year. You want to look at those ads because basically what that tells us, hey, like really think about it for a business owner. No one's going to spend money on ads for a long period of time if they're not working. All right, so I'm talking for it's been over 3, 4, 5 months. They're running the ads for a reason. They're definitely working. And so let's look at those ads. Those ads we know for a fact are making money. So that's the ads you want to look at. Look at the offers here. Look at the messaging. Who is he calling out? Who's the target market he's speaking to? Look at the hooks. And you can reverse engineer what's going to work for you based on this. All right, your competitors have already done all the hard work. They've already done testing and trial and error. We might as well use their hard work for your advantage. All right, and so use this, get a bunch of data, and then use that to create your messaging and your actual offer positioning. You know it's going to work from day one. That's how we do it. That's how we validate an offer in 1 or 2 days instead of taking 1 or 2 years to test and trial and error. So that's number one. Number two, the second point here is economics. You just want to make sure for your goals, reverse engineer the economics so you get clear on that, and also make sure your target market can afford your offer as well. So let's say I want to sell my thing for 5K. That means I need just 4 clients to get to 20K a month. All right, so I reverse engineer that. And so for this, just audit, hey, can my target market afford a 5K offer? Again, best place to look at your competitors. How much is this guy charging? How much is the other guy charging? All right, if they're charging that much and they're successful, we know they're a 7-figure business, for example, or an 8-figure business. We know we can charge that much too. All right, so that's number one, offer creation. Number two, once you have the offer, you know for a fact people actually will buy your thing. We just need to get it in front of people, get in front of the right people. So how do we do that? Lead generation. So what we do here, so first thing I'm looking at here with my private clients, I'm auditing the resources. So I'm looking at, for example, with the resources, I mean, how much time do you have, per week? And then also how much money do you have to potentially invest into something like paid ads, for example. You don't need that much for paid ads, but you do need some. You need okay investing money. And so I'm auditing this because for my private clients, we have both organic systems, that's free strategy clients. There's also the paid ad strategies. There's pros and cons seats to each of them. Obviously with paid ads, it's cost money, so that's a con. But the pros are it can be much quicker. It's a very fast feedback loop. It also requires less time once it's set up as well. It can be pretty much on autopilot. All right, so once we have that, we get our game plan in order. We're determining, okay, we're going to do an organic route, or we're going to do a paid ads route. You want to launch ASAP as soon as humanly possible. Do not fiddle with things. Do not fiddle with your website more. Don't mess around creating a logo or, oh, I have to perfect my branding here. Don't do that. Waste of time. Just launch. All right. Just take it to market, because the life of a business is cash flow. All right. A business without cash flow is not a business. I remember when I first launched my fitness coaching business in 2019, I was terrible. I didn't know what I was doing. I couldn't figure out how to sign clients. I made $0 profit for 16 months. My uncle made a comment. He was like, "Oh, that's not a business. That's a hobby." And he was 100% right. It was not a business. There's no cash flow. All right. And so if you want a business, you want cash flow. You need to go to market ASAP, get clients ASAP. Until that point, you're just a entrepreneur. You're not a real entrepreneur until you have actual paying customers and clients. All right. So get launched. Another thing you don't want to do here, another mistake I see that's made often. I made this mistake when I started out. You don't want to spend many weeks or many months building out some comprehensive course or program or videos. Don't do that. You want to launch with a minimum viable product or an MVP, or meaning just kind of map out the client journey. Hey, they're starting here and they want to get here. And so here's the main steps they need to take to get there. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever it is. Map that out, just have awareness over it, and really just have the bare necessities built out for them, whatever resources you need for them. And then fill in the gaps with one-on-one, or with calls, with text, whatever you need to help them get results. This is important because you don't want to assume you know what they want. So what I see a lot of people do is they'll build out this comprehensive course thing, this program, they spend tons of hours on it, like months building it out. They launch it and they realize, oh, their first few clients, like, they actually don't care about this thing at all. This doesn't matter. They really want this. I actually haven't built this part out. And so you just realize, oh, like, what do they actually need? What do they actually want? And then based on that, you want to build out the resources accordingly. You don't want to assume you know what they want, because oftentimes you're wrong. All right. So start one-on-one based, start MVP, minimum viable product, and fill in the gaps as you go, build the resources as you go. That's going to be the most efficient for your time. All right. So launch ASAP. Once you're launching, one thing you definitely want to have in place is data collection and data tracking system. All right. So for example, if you're running ads, for example, you need to know, for example, like how much your cost per lead is, how much your cost per call is, what is your CAC or your customer acquisition cost. You need to have this. If you don't have data collection, then you're just driving blind. All right. Because the data tells you all the answers and all the problems as well. If there's a problem in your funnel, the data will tell you it. It'll say, hey, this number's too high or this number's too high. And then based on that, we can do a bottleneck analysis and basically figure out what to fix, what to change, so you are profitable. But you need data tracking systems in place. If you don't, you're screwed. Next step here, scientific method. All right, so this is basically how you make any client acquisition system consistent, predictable, and mathematic. All right, how you make sure this thing actually works. This is proven, the scientific method. So you remember that thing you learned in school where it's basically, hey, create a hypothesis, and then you run a test or an experiment, then you observe, and then you run it again. You run another test based on what you observe. All right, that's basically what you do here, but for business. I mean, this works everywhere. It's literally gotten men on the moon. Like, it can do anything. You might as well apply it to your business. So for example here, all right, with the work we've done here with the market research, that should give you a good hypothesis in terms of what ads to run, of what posts to make, for example. When you have your hypothesis, you test it. All right, important thing with tests is you give it enough time, give it enough sample size. You can't spend $2 on ads over 2 hours and then conclude, oh, I didn't get any clients. It doesn't work. It's not a good sample size. So you need to test it over a good sample size. Once you have a test that's complete, you want to observe. We're looking at these metrics. All right, is cost per lead good? Is cost per call good? Is CAC good? If it is, if all these things are good, you're in the green light, then you just want to scale at that point. You don't have to make changes. You just want to scale. Just do more. All right, if there's a bottleneck, let's say it's not profitable yet after your first campaign, which is completely normal. It took me 6 or 7 months when I was trying to do this myself, trying to figure out how to run ads profitably. You want to iterate, make an iteration. Hey, based on these metrics, cost per lead is actually pretty good. I'm getting good quality leads, but for some reason, they're not booking calls. And so there's a bottleneck, there's a constraint right here in the system somewhere. All right, you want to iterate based on whatever your constraint is. So you want to iterate up front unless it makes sense. You want to iterate on the back here unless it makes sense, only where the bottleneck is. Iterate that one thing and then run another test. And then you repeat this over and over again. Test, observe, iterate, over and over and over again until it works. If you follow this, it will work. It works 100% of the time, but it does take time to get there. Or it takes tests, it takes campaigns you're running. All right, for some people, especially if you get help from someone, like this can be good in just a few tries and a few campaigns. If you're doing it yourself, this can take a long time. Like it took me like 6-7 months once I started like doing this process correctly to actually figure it out. That's the scientific method. Once you have a consistent system to generate leads and get clients, you just want to automate it. All right, figure out how can I take this off my plate to give me more leverage. All right, automation, especially in the world of AI, you can do a ton of things nowadays. It's crazy. Last thing here is sales systems, number 3. All right, so this is, hey, once you're getting leads consistently, we need a consistent sales process to convert those leads into happy paying clients. People are happy to take out their wallets and pay us. And so the best way you can do here is like for sales, like reverse engineer, what are their objections? So you're booking sales calls now, like look at, hey, what are the objections that keep them up? Maybe they say they need to speak to their spouse, or they need, or it costs too much or something. That means you're not providing much value. They don't trust you. Reverse engineer whatever their objections are. And then basically what we want to do is want to overcome their objections by preventing it. Before they even speak to you, we can build out materials, which I call as pre-call priming. So for example, you can have a confirmation page where you overcome their objections before they even speak to you. And so you can have things like FAQ videos there that answer their common questions, concerns, objections. So when they watch the video, you overcome the objection. So you can build that out once and it works for you forever. Pretty cool. In the sales process, you want to do the same thing. So if you're commonly given an objection around whatever, build a question into your discovery where you're able to overcome that before you even drop price, before you even get to the pitch. That's key, is prevention. All right, preventing objections is 10 times easier than overcoming it, even though you can still overcome it as well. But that sales system, that's the easiest thing you do, is create pre-call priming to overcome objections beforehand. That's going to dramatically increase your close rates. All right, so that is what I would follow. So I was starting from zero and I want to launch a coaching business. Hey, look, if you're someone who's launching, or if you're near zero, you're really trying to get off the ground to 10, 20, 30K a month plus, and you want to just really skip as much of the learning curve, the testing, the trial and error as possible, I've already done this. Like I've worked with over 260 coaches to help them do exactly this. I've built my first company from zero to doing 100K months. Like this is what I do all day, every day, 365. It's what I live and breathe. So if you want help with this one-on-one, click the link below. I have an offer to actually work with you, mentor you one-on-one to build this out together and help you get to your goals here. So if you're interested in that, just click the link below. If you're an online coach and looking to get really off the ground and scale your business here, click that link below and I'll see you there. All right, have a good one. Peace.